As a poet, I'm always looking for new ways to push my writing into uncharted territory. How can I avoid repeating myself, unconsciously revisiting the same kinds of metaphors and observations? Books on the creative process, like Dean Young's The Art of Recklessness or Mary Ruefle's Madness, Rack and Honey, can help rejig your writing. But nothing beats paying close attention to the poetry you love and asking yourself, what's going on line by line, word by word? What lessons can I learn? So here are 3 lessons I learned reading Jaime Forsythe's Sympathy, Loophole, a book released back in 2012 when the Mayan calendar came to an end and many feared the apocalypse. Don't underestimate the power of a strong verb. Check out the first stanza of Contortions. Lessons in how to bend, how to slot a body into the best hiding spot, how to pretzel for the prize, to hula hoop away the disappointment. Bend doesn't draw attention to itself. Like the title, it plays an introductory role. It tells the reader, this is a poem about contortions. Slot reminds me of a coin, a slim placement, and here a game of hide and seek where you step into a narrow space between or behind furniture. I thought the use of pretzel as a verb was Forsythe's invention because I've only ever encountered it as a noun, the bread snack we all know and love. But lo and behold, the Oxford Dictionary officially recognizes pretzel as a verb, and it's put to good use in this poem, pretzel for the prize, and I imagine bobbing for apples or playing Twister. Pretzel may, in fact, be the perfect verb, rarely used but widely understood, a high-scoring word in Scrabble too, thanks to its Z, and the letter Z has contortions of its own, making pretzel all the more pretzel-like. Did you know the word pretzel is increasing in popularity? Hula hoop is less surprising than pretzel, giving the reader space to breathe. Inhale deeply as you brace against the inevitable suffering and tragedy of the world. Hula hoop to feel better. I especially like how pretzel and hula hoop are followed by familiar phrases, grounding the reader despite the experimentation. The phrase, for the prize, is normally preceded by compete or strive, so I'm primed to understand what pretzel for the prize means. Similarly, we hula hoop away the disappointment just as we would brush it away. I'm inspired to think of other prepositional phrases like with open arms or to the rescue, and how they might pair with verbs to some strange effect. Be alert to the kinds of writing you encounter in your daily life. Imitate and elevate them. Have you just finished a delicious meal of General Tso's chicken? Or, for the vegetarians among you, cabbage mushroom dumplings? Well, the best is yet to come. A vague prophecy sealed inside a crisp and sugary cookie will be delivered with your bill, and if you're as enterprising as Jaime Forsythe, it will inspire your next poem. Did you know the word enterprising is decreasing in popularity? In her poem Fortune, Forsythe writes, "You will see a mountain. You will uncover a code at the checkout. Be alert for strange dogs in your basement and very clean windows." Fortune cookie fortunes are supposed to be mysterious, a little tease after a tasty meal, and these are no different. Each time you round a corner in search of a lavatory, another flight of stairs will appear. You won't know the structure of the aircraft you're in. Relief is close at hand. The first time I read the last line, I thought about my fear of flying, not knowing the structure of the aircraft, how it operates, the hidden mechanics that keep a hunk of metal afloat, but the flight ending soon, relief close at hand. Now when I revisit this poem, the word relief pairs humorously with lavatory a few lines up. How could I have missed it? This poem keeps you guessing. It's really the perfect cover letter to accompany a job application for fortune cookie fortune writer. That's gotta be a real job, right? Actually it is, but they're not hiring. I'm fairly sure that the poem Real-Life Phrases in Everyday English takes its inspiration from textbooks for teaching English as a second language. You know, those example sentences that demonstrate the correct use of prepositional phrases or whatnot, like, Jane cheered for her team with excitement, or Mark looked behind his brother. This poem plays on those ESL textbook tropes and begins each line with the name of an individual, followed by ordinary actions or events which really aren't so ordinary. Gloria ordered smoked eel, visited a castle, and appeared on stage. Suzanne peeled oranges while watching the war on television. The poem draws attention to its source of inspiration, too, referencing language and its use of names. Claire gave a speech in her own language with gestures. Anne adopted a name she would never again have to repeat. This is such a refreshing poem. Sometimes I get so carried away with insane grammar-free poetry that I forget the charm of thoughtful, straightforward lines. New York School poet Kenneth Koch wrote some weird lines in his long poem When the Sun Tries to Go On. The cheerful disuse of safety matches, the period of I hate the murdered street, I can't even read it. The blanched pyramid sounds nice, B. But then Koch became interested in narrative poetry, and this is how he described that transition. Frank O'Hara was telling me about a novel called The Circus by Frank Scully. I was sort of a snob about literature when I met Frank. He was more sophisticated. I asked him if the novel was good, and he said, "Yes, it's very quiet and modest and direct and dear and simple. I'd never thought those were good things." I wouldn't describe Forsythe's poetry as dear and simple, but it's quiet and modest and direct, and there's a lot to learn from that. Use line breaks to emphasize ambiguities and additional meanings. Line breaks. Those moments when hitting the enter key just feels right, and you start fresh on the next line. What are they for? Rhythmic effect? Visual effect? For ease of reading? Separating poetic ideas into digestible chunks? All of the above? Rumor has it that Baudelaire invented the prose poem only because he absolutely despised line breaks. Jaime Forsythe does something with line breaks that I've always purposefully avoided doing. Sometimes she uses them to mislead the reader, sending them in one direction before suddenly changing course. Even in quiet, there is pretending the cat's tail is a microphone. There is lying together in an isolation booth. Lying as in not telling the truth, as in the previous line, there is pretending. Or lying as in a resting position. The line break pushes for this ambiguity, but the word together on the following line clears up the meaning. Her yawn was glue. The days passed so slowly she could hardly believe it. The days passed as if the time has flown by, but so slowly on the following line sets us back. You won't remember anything, I said. A hurricane happened. You won't remember anything is followed by I said. So is this line spoken as in you won't remember anything, I said? Or does the speaker imply that we won't remember anything that they said? I've described this effect as misleading the reader, but that makes it sound like a bad thing. It's more like taking the reader on the scenic route or playing with the potential of a line, teasing out meanings. Just to review, here are the 3 lessons I've learned. First, don't underestimate the power of a strong verb. Be alert to the kinds of writing you encounter in your daily life, imitate and elevate them. And finally, use line breaks to emphasize ambiguities and additional meanings. And if you want more, pick up Jaime Forsythe's Sympathy Loophole. It's straight fire.